morning. Welcome to another episode of Men versus Ego.
Hey, Bobby, it's great to be back. Excited to record today's podcast and, really want to open up to you and to the audience, share who we are.
Same here, man. Same here. So today episode is gonna be centered around what keeps us motivated.
Okay. Um, well, thank you, Bobby, for asking that. It's something humbling, it's something humbling for me. So I would say that what keeps me motivated is it's where I come from. I came from a very poor family, and so growing up growing up as a small kid, as a child, um, I always I never had what I wanted, or whatever I wanted I never had. um, so I know what the feeling of poverty is, like not having everything that you want, and always being told, like, no, no, you can't have this, we can't afford it. I also lived in a very um, with my mom and my sister. I lived in a very like really crappy apartment, if that's how we call it. um, and so the motivation for me is, once I started to realize that I can change my future. That's what's always kept me motivated, thinking, being able to fathom and think that I can change the future. So that keeps me motivated, just always thinking about becoming having a better life moving forward. And so that's talking like, materialistic things, right? So having a better place to live, being able to sustain ourselves better. So that keeps me motivated, but to work hard. But at the same time, the the next thing that keeps me motivated is also, I was listening to this podcast recently, and it says that I'm responsible for all the people around me. Um, so, for example, it says that as I become a better person, all the people around me are gonna also become better people. So basically, it's saying that you set the standard for others. You know, you set the standard for others. So in the beginning of the question, you asked me what keeps me motivated. I was talking about having a better or a nicer home, having nicer clothes, having better things to eat, having luxury. So that's part one. And again, I grew up very poor, so obviously, growing up very poor is very easy to see. It's very easy to see that you want better things because of growing up poor. So that's part one. But also part two is about making all the people around me better, and that's not necessarily talking about materialistic things. That's talking more about goals and accomplishments, and structuring the life in a manner that's going to produce them happiness and accomplishment.
I know in the first episode you said you had to get a social and a driver's license that weren't really yours to work and stuff, and now you know you're in downtown Chicago, one of the most growing cities that never stop growing in America, and you have your own company, man. So it's crazy that all from having a sketchy social to a driver's license. Now you have a real legitimate thing, and everything is going well for you. And you were just motivated from when you first got here till now.
Yeah. it's the American dream. The American dream is still alive, and you are able to accomplish what your goals, and if you decide to improve yourself, it is something that is possible. I can, uh, I'm gonna tell you everything that I can remember. I'll always tell you, in this podcast. But for sure, again, it's like growing up in poverty definitely made me want to get out of poverty. So and that's the reason that we came to the U.S. My family came to the U.S. because we come from extreme poverty, and yeah, it is extreme poverty. Literally not having a proper home. Our home. I remember our home was made out of like things. It wasn't made out of concrete, or it wasn't like there wasn't a real address to our home. It was just something that was built, you know, with things and stuff like that. So I would definitely consider that extreme poverty. And I don't, I'm not ashamed of that. It's something that I really admire about my parents, because they had this situation in their hands, and they decided to make the best thing with it. And so in their mind, the only thing that they could think of was, hey, let's go to the US, because in the US there's opportunities. And so now to continue to that question, what keeps me motivated? Now in my mind, I have that burden, or in my back I have that burden of saying, hey, my parents sacrificed so much for me, and they did so much for me. How am I going to thank them for that? And so one of the things that I can do is to improve my life, so that they feel that they didn't waste, or they didn't do the wrong decision. And also, I didn't go into gangs, I didn't go into crime, um, I didn't go into I didn't do anything that I can, I no crime, nothing that it will give me a criminal record and stuff like that. So, again, because my parents did so much, how can I do that to them? So that's kept me motivated, growing up until still now, um, and now that I've been able to achieve um, some level of richness, if that's the best way to describe it. I would say that I've also realized that money doesn't bring you happiness necessarily. Obviously, not having to worry about every payment that you have to make definitely gives you peace of mind, but you also alienate yourself from people. And so now, something that really keeps me, or the new thing that, or the thing that I let me just rephrase that again. I really think that my new motivation is really being genuine and loving people. That is my new motivation, and it feels really good to be able to help others, and also to inspire them. Like if I'm out on the street, and I see women with their children that just came from Ecuador. They came from a different country, and they're out on the street, and they're selling chocolate bars, and they're selling water. And I see that it's a mother with her child, and they probably don't know where to start. So they're like, hey, I'm gonna sell something, at least so that I can have $50 or $100 for this week. And it feels really nice to be able to pull a $20 bill and say, hey, can I buy a water bottle from you? And then they're giving me change, and then it feels really nice to say, hey, you can keep the change, and let them know something like, hey, welcome to the US, and I pray that you can accomplish your goals, so that you can give them that you can give your children a better lifestyle. If it's awesome to do that, and at the same time, the lifestyle that I want to live now, again, I want to motivate other people around me to become better. And that goes back to to that podcast that I was listening to from Jordan Peterson this week. He said you are responsible for all the people around you. He says when you start thinking like that, he says a lot of things in your life are going to change. And in my mind that doesn't make sense because I'm like, why am I responsible for the people around me? But he says if you start thinking like that, then your actions are going to be different. Because again, it's like you lead by example, and that's the motivation. I have instances in my life where I can do things improperly. I can do things under the table. No one's gonna know, but I know. And again, I want to live a lifestyle that is a beacon to all the people around me.
Awesome, man. Because I seen you firsthand help out homeless people when they come up to you, like that guy that was what was he doing? Rapping? Remember he was rapping. He was like trying to sing to you or something, and hey man, here's $10. You know, thanks for rapping for me. So
Yes, it's hard, man. It's not something that is easy to take, right? Um, a lot of people around us have issues and they have problems and they struggle with things, and it's hard to think like that. To say, hey, you're responsible for the people around you. It makes you feel like a parent again. It's like, hey, so what am I? Are these my children? And again, in reality, it's like you lead by example. So that's what motivates me now to lead by example. And I truly and genuinely know that money doesn't bring you happiness. It does make life easier in certain parts, but that's not where true happiness is. Like having the newest thing, the nicest logos and all that stuff is temporary. But it doesn't fulfill you the way you know being around people that love you, and really better want to better themselves. I think that's, for me, I found that to be the most fulfilling thing.
so yeah, that's great, man. I know that all the things you say right now are legitimately true because some of the things you just talked about are I was there. I seen you firsthand practice gratitude, and to give is better than to receive, and to help out people who don't know where to start. Um, for me, um, gratitude, I guess. Gratitude. There's days where I don't feel motivated, but then I remember I'm like, wait a minute. There's always a person that's more hungry than me that is gonna, maybe make a better podcast than Men versus Ego, or make, that run that I didn't want to go on to. There's a person that did go on that run and that is has leveled up, and I'm still here, contemplating about the run. Well, that guy already finished it. So I'm like, that keeps me motivated to keep going, because there's always people right behind you, or maybe you're right behind a person who didn't want to make a podcast, or maybe you're behind a person who didn't want to go on a run today that you did go on a run. So I want to be that person that did go on a run, that did make that podcast. That keeps me motivated, man. But gratitude for sure. Showing a little bit of humility, without my friends and without the places I've been, the people I met. I don't think it would have shaped me into the person I am today.
Why, when you s- when you say the places or the people that you've met, it shaped you into who you are. Like, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm military, so I move around every.
Is that a mentor?
What, moving around a lot, or sorry, living in different places.
Yeah, you said that without the people around you, you wouldn't be where you are today. So I assume like there's a mentor or.
Yes, yes. My mentor would. probably be some of the people I work for in the army, man. People of higher status have been in the army for over 20 years. They these mentors of mine have seen it all from successful mentorship, helping out their subordinates, to like never left field, never thought that this person would not succeed in their career. But my friends, man, my friends, and that saying that your vibe attracts your tribe. I think it's so true. I consider you one of my high value friends, uh, and honestly, I think you're one of my mentors, man. I know you probably don't see you don't see yourself like a mentor to me, but I mean, this is our second episode, and it just every time we talk, I learn a little bit more about you, and I'm like, okay. So I take little bits and pieces that I like of you that you do and incorporate it to me.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And at the same time, Bobby, um, I think you said you attract. You said you attract your tribe. Is that what you said?
There's a saying that says your vibe attracts your tribe. Basically, the people that think like you and wish good, and so with that being said, is like, who do you want to be associated with? You know, people who are entrepreneurs, people who have a future goal mindset, or do you want to associate yourself with people who just like the substandard, stagnant uh, life way of living? And I said that I consider you a mentor for me because there's things that you do that I really look up to. For example, like helping out people, like a mom. You mentioned a mom and a coming from a different place in the world, trying to make ends meet, selling what she can, helping out her kids or whatever. I want to be in that same boat as you and help out as much as I can. Maybe not in the city like Chicago because I live in Texas, but maybe in the military, somehow. No, yeah.
Well, Bobby, I just again I want to thank you for thinking for really for really valuing our friendship. I it really how do I say that? It's beautiful to think that you value our friendship this much, and I want to thank you for that. And you're saying that your vibe attracts your tribe, and you also said that basically we are influenced by the people around us, and I'm a huge believer of that, uh, because there's this thing that I learned a while ago that says your environment is more powerful than your willpower. So your environment. I'm going to repeat it again. Your environment is more powerful than your willpower. And for the longest time that I can think of, I've always woken up with the will to accomplish more that day. But our environment is what puts a ceiling on top of us and prevents us from accomplishing those goals and those dreams that we have in our mind and in our heart. So when you're talking about the association of people, I do genuinely believe that 1,000% in my mind and my heart, because obviously we don't judge the people when we don't judge people and say, oh, I'm not gonna hang out with you and stuff like that, right? But I just think that as you start talking and you start mentioning your ideas and your thoughts is what makes someone attracted to you or not. For example, every time I meet someone, you'll never find me talking about drugs or about sex. You'll never see me hear me talking about like, oh, hey, I end up spending $5,000 last week on a trip, and I just did this and that and this and that. I don't speak about superficial things like that. and at the same time, I've been able to put myself in an environment where the people, it kind of creates the environment around me. For example, like at the gym where I started working out with, I said, hey, I'm going to commit to coming to this gym, and to this gym, 5 times a week. And so what I've been doing is I've been there consistently, and next thing you know, there's a crowd of people that I associate myself with just because I started attending that gym consistently. And so again, it's not that I went up to them and said, hey, I'm going to become your friend and your friend and your friend just because I think you're better than all these other people. It's just, again, I decided to commit myself to something. And then as time goes by, the people around there started, we started getting to know each other. And I really do see a friendship building there. And that is, again, like the people that you associate with, that's what your end product's gonna be. And I really want to associate myself with these people, these great people at the gym, because they're in great shape. They value fitness, they value the health, they value sleep, they value eating and drinking well. uh, and so that's a good crowd to be associated with.
Not couldn't have said it better myself, man. And it goes back to that saying: "Your vibe attracts your tribe." You went out of your way. You went to the gym, and little by little, you started to associate yourself with, people who have the same mindset as you, or who wants the same goals. And I think that's a powerful thing, man. I think maybe, did you ever think about maybe them, the people that you go to the gym with, could possibly be some sort of a mentor to you? Like maybe you can take a little bit of this person's, oh, I like that, I like what he's doing, he's training like this. Oh, I like what she's doing, she's training like this. And making your own.
um well, the how do I say this? When I first signed up there, I knew for a fact that I did not belong there. And Jordan Peterson calls that being an imposter. That's what he says there. He says in many parts of your in when you try new things in your life, he says you're going to become an imposter. And you know what the definition of an imposter is where someone is pretending to be something, or someone that they're not. And so whenever I challenge myself to new things, I always have that feeling in myself, saying I'm an imposter. I don't belong here. Who am I kidding? Who am I kidding? I'm not good like these people. I don't belong here. What am I doing here? Get out of here. So, but again, I don't let those fears control me. And when I joined that gym, I walked in there, and you see people with great bodies. And um, obviously you can say that that's a materialistic thing, but there's more to that, because again, to get there, you have to make sacrifices. So you have to build a routine. You have to sleep right. You can't work out consistently and not sleep properly. You also have to take control of your eating. And you also have to stop consuming alcohol. A lot of the people here that I speak to, one of the first things that they'll tell you is, if you really want to get serious about this, you have to stop drinking alcohol. And I mean, I'm not out here, condemning alcohol or anything, but it's just, how is it that as you want to attain a better body and a better health, the first thing that they're talking about is sleep, sleeping properly, eating better, and getting rid of alcohol consumption. And again, all those things we might take for granted, but these people, their body shows what, you know how much better we can be. And when I joined in, I felt like an imposter. I'm like, hey, I don't belong here. I don't know how long I'll be able to, pretend that I belong and that I fit in. But it was hard, it was difficult, and I've been there consistently. And again, it's like building new friendships. And I think now I'm part of a community of people that are better than, I really do think of them as better than me. But again, I see them as inspiration, because I think of, I whenever I see them, I said, if they can do it, what is preventing me from doing it? If they were able to make the necessary sacrifices to do that, why can't I do that? And then that motivates me day to day,
That's that's basically what I said, man. On There's always going to be a person who wants to run. Well, you don't want to. You want to stay in bed and sleep a little bit more. There's always a person that wants that challenge, and if you don't want it, that person's going to move up, and you're going to stay there. So I think it goes back to the same thing I was telling you earlier. Um, but the fact that you even went to the gym, knowing that there might be people for sure who are like faster than you, lift heavier weights than you, in better shape than you, takes a lot of courage too, man. I think it takes that inner intestinal fortitude to be like, okay, I don't care. I'm gonna do this. I know it's not a 1 day process. I'm gonna continue, be consistent, and have some discipline in achieving that goal and staying motivated.
But to accomplish those goals, you have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone. And Bobby, I'm pretty sure you know what this means, right? It's like you have to be willing to let go of your comfort zone. A lot of us, a lot of people that I have met or speak to, and I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying that this is something common that happens to all of us. We all say, oh my God, look at that person with that six pack or with those really like nice arms. I want to be like that. But it's just like an expression because we never really mean it. Because if you if you really mean it, then obviously you're gonna have to take steps to accomplish that. And it's not gonna come out of willpower. Again, we all have a lot of willpower, but the willpower will never be sufficient to take you there. You have to find a community, and you have to find a, a system that is going to allow you to stay consistent. Again, all my life, I always felt and I always wanted to be to be healthy and very fit and and jack man. I've always wanted that, and I've never been able to accomplish that because I never joined a community um, of people that were doing the same thing. So today I can truly say that once I joined this gym, and again that took willpower. Joining the gym, that took willpower. But so willpower was useful, but then once willpower wore off, then the consistency is attained by being around these people that are better than me. Um, so again, it's like you have to find a community of people that are doing uh, something to what you're looking at, yeah, better to what you're doing, and be with them, and then that's going to keep you elevated. It's going to keep you constantly achieving more, little by little. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but little by little. And Bobby, I wanted to ask you something as well. So you said that when you were growing up, you were moving several times per year. Could you talk about that, and how did that affect you growing up?
Yeah, man, it was during uh, the military, during my tenure in it still that I'm in right now. But anybody in the military knows, you guys, we move every 3 years or so, depending on the situation. But moving every 3 years can be stressful, man, because you have your friends, you have your roots, your little community that you made over time. Um, you're used to the routes that you go to every morning, to the stores, and to uproot it and make a new one every 3 years, it can get a um, what's the word I'm looking for? Tiring.
They say that there are two major stresses in people's lives. It's divorce and moving. Like those are the biggest stresses to a person's lives. Getting divorced and moving. Um,
Man, I tell you, you're not lying. You're not lying, man, because I know how stressful it is to move, and it's just you have to make sure you have everything right. This package goes here. This goes to the kitchen. This goes to the bedroom. Um, make time for the movers. Make sure you pay your security or get your security deposit back. Pay all the last month's electricity bills. Close out your accounts. It's yeah, it can be hassle, man. And again, I think the most important thing is making friends, man. You know, I lived over there in Chicago for 3 years, and I met you and met some other great friends of ours. And I knew my time was going to come up eventually, but I'm glad that the friendship was still there and it stood the test of time. And like I said, it's like I consider you a mentor, and I consider you one of my, I guess you, me- what's the word I'm looking for? You're one of my gym buddies. Meta, metaphorically, thank you. We'll edit that out. Metaphorically speaking, we never worked out. We never worked out, but I ran two 15Ks in Chicago. I ran the hot chocolate run, and I ran the Cinco de Miler a couple times. So, I mean, yeah, man. But I guess you're one of my gym buddies, metaphorically speaking. And what's our gym? I guess this podcast. This Men versus Ego podcast, talking about what keeps us motivated and spirituality, personal growth, stuff like that.
Metaphorically.
Of course. For me, man, I'm a social guy. I talk to anybody and anybody. So I remember when I first met you, specifically, I think you were downstairs. You were living in a different building at the time, down in Pilsen, and you were on your computer in the morning, and I was getting ready to go to work in my uniform, and you were typing along whatever you were typing, and oh, hey, what's up, man? And you were there every morning. So, and then we got introduced by mutual friends, and here we are. Um, I guess to answer your question about the moving, not for me, man. I don't making making friends or acquaintances. I'm very sociable, so that doesn't scare me. But it's the people that I already have established there, like you, our friend Jesse, um, Sheldon, our friend Sheldon. Yeah, everybody, man, everybody that shout out to them. Yep, yep, good people, man. Yeah. So I mean, what can I ask you, man? Um, did you wake up motivated this morning after your adventure the other day?
Um, no, so last night I was at a wedding. We got back here at almost 2 in the morning is when I was finally laying in bed. Um, so for sure I'm a little bit tired. Um, how do I say this? I don't like not sleeping sufficiently because the next day I don't feel productive. So again, uh, that's one of the habits that are very easy to forego and say, well, as long as you sleep a little, you'll be fine. But again, to be a very successful, productive person, you need to value your sleep because then your body is completely rested, and then your body feels good. You have those endorphins things going on, and then obviously you have a better appetite. Then you're able to move better physically and stuff like that. So I do value sleep. I do value sleep, and something that you should know, Bobby, is that I take sleep aid at night. It's not gummies or THC or nothing like that. It's just like over the counter sleep aids. I normally drink that usually every night because my mind keeps me up, or I'll want to be on my phone watching YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm like everybody else. But again, it's like I realize that if I want to be a productive person the following day, I have to make sacrifices now. And so I take a sleep aid. Again, that's something that I can't control. I've done everything: relaxation, background noise, turning all the lights off, taking a shower, everything that you can think of, and I still can't fall asleep. So I said, hey, I'm gonna look for something that can help me. And I drink sleep aid at night, and that does help me fall asleep on time. And so the next day, it does help me be a more productive person. But yesterday, yeah, it's it's not something that I wanted to do, but I see patterns. We all see patterns in our life, and I kept realizing that, hey, I can't go to sleep at night. Next thing you know, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and then the next day I'm just like a zombie. I'm like, ah. So I said I have to do something about that, because it's really hampering the entire next day. And then the next night, I do it all over again, and then I do it all over again, and I do it all over again. It never stops. So I realized I have to do something about it, and I started doing sleep aid. It was difficult because if you're not used to taking sleep aid, the next day you feel groggy, and like it really does mess you up. But I think the benefit of having a full night sleep is much better. So I try to time it properly. I try to take it by 8 or 9 o'clock at the latest. Otherwise, the next day I'll be too groggy. Um, and it does help a lot. Um, but yesterday was it was a fun night. Jay, a good friend of mine, which you've already met, Bobby, he invited me to a wedding. And again, it's not something that I would do on a daily basis of staying up that late, but it was a special occasion. We had a great time. We were dancing, and there was alcohol, and there was people, and we were just meeting new people and stuff like that. So it was a really nice adventure. I um, something fun. It was definitely something fun, and I'll definitely do it again if I'm invited to a wedding. It was really nice.
100%. And I think that's part of self awareness too, man. The ability to not let your egoic mind take over and say what you said. Now that I'm here, I'm only going to be here. There's some great people you can meet down here, and there's some bad people that you can meet up here. Um, so, I mean, that's awesome. I can't, I can't say that enough, man. He's so self aware. But anything before we close out, man? I know we don't want to make this as long as the other one. I really don't have anything else to put in there. Like I think I shared my piece that what keeps me motivated, and it's always there's always a person behind you. Keep going. Strive to be better. Uh, but I have nothing. I have nothing else, man. I hope our viewers got a little uh, different point of views.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, he's also a mentor. I did tell him a while ago that I do see him as a mentor because he's accomplished a lot in his life. And one of the things that you'll know about him is that he doesn't he doesn't flash, like he's not flashy, right? So he's a very well off person. When we have him as a guest here, he can talk to us more about that himself. But he's a very successful person, and if you see him walking down the street, his attire is not gonna slap you in the face with it, right? You're not gonna see brands everywhere and gold everywhere. Just a humble person, and he genuinely talks to you. Whenever you talk to him, he genuinely looks at you in the eye and really wants to know things about you. And that's something that really attracted me to his personality. That even though he has attained so much success, he doesn't only rub shoulders with the elite and says, well, now that I'm all the way up here, I'm only going to associate with the 1%. It's like, no, he still has a genuine conversation with anyone. And again, that's one of the things that I was telling you. Like, money doesn't bring you necessarily happiness, because if you can't relate to the common person, then again, it's like, you know
Man, I say next episode can be like what's one of our things that lets us control our thoughts and our minds. Maybe a book, maybe a meditation strategy. Maybe it's taking sleep aids at night. Who knows, But that'll be a good episode, man. Maybe we can make that episode 3.
yep. Yeah, and I would say, also, to close and summarize, like, the reason that we're doing this is because we want to share our struggles, and we also want to motivate, you know you out there. um, you're not you're not gonna wake up out of bed jumping and seeing butterflies and fairies and everything every morning. That's not how life functions, right? That's not how things are. It's like we all have struggles. You wake up and you see, and someone's calling you and saying, hey, you owe me money, when are you gonna pay me? Or, if you're in a relationship, that person is probably saying something negative about you. Or, if your work is probably saying, hey, you missed the deadline, and you know there's going to be some consequences out of this, and we need to have a meeting. So there's always going to be things coming after you. That's just being part of life. But you have to be able to clear your mind and listen to people that have accomplished a lot. And that's one of the things that I've done here, where whenever my mind is stuck, or my mind is thinking about things that shouldn't be thinking about, I tried I immediately play a podcast like Jordan Peterson, or I play the Bible or something, where or the pastor at my church, I'll play his message, kind of out of force of habit, because I already know myself. I already know that every time I'm left by myself, I will immediately trickle down to negativity, and to things that I shouldn't be thinking about. And so I said, hey, again, that's one of the things with you see patterns in your life. You start seeing patterns in your life. And so when I caught myself in that pattern, I said, hey, every time that I start that rotation again of delving into negativity and having thoughts about, oh, look at me, poor me, nobody likes me, nobody cares about me, nobody thinks about me, this and that, or like, oh, life is too difficult for me, this and that. Immediately, I put my device on, and I just play that in the background, and I really do listen to that, because it does help me conquer my thoughts, and alleviate all those negative things that constantly flash through our minds. I don't know if you can also relate to that, Bobby, but it's one of the things that I've been able to control.
No, yep, I can't. Like, it seems like every time I try to say something, you beat me to it, man. But yeah, that's why we're here, guys. Me and Isaac, we make this podcast for all you guys to maybe we can relate to each other by our struggles, maybe not by our ethnicity or by religion or by any other thing that you can put people in a category in, but our struggles for sure. Maybe we can come together.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely uh, work on that for this week. So I'm excited to, everybody that joined us. And again, Bobby and Isaac, we're here to serve you, share our life struggles with you, and inspire you in any way we can.
No, likewise, my friend. Likewise. I remember we were up there, so talking about this, and here we are, our second episode in 2 weeks. Hopefully, here comes week 3, and so on and so forth.
And Bobby, I just want to thank you again for doing this. If it wasn't for you, we would have never done this. And so again, you do have an impact on all of us. It was your idea, and you decided to do this, and I'm grateful, to have a friend like you who challenged me, and also challenge yourself, because this does take time and effort. and yet you're here with me. So I really appreciate that.
All right, man. Ándale pues, bro. Pues I know you're a busy man. I hope you get business rolling today. Y me saludas a Jay y la Chabela when you see her. All right. Ándale pues, bro. Cuídate.
Of course. Yes. Thank you, Bobby. See you.